If you struggle coming into a deep squat like this, it's most likely your ankle mobility. To understand this a little more, let's have a brief look at our ankle anatomy. So there are four major muscles at the front and the back of our lower leg. We need these muscles to lengthen in order for dorsiflexion to happen, and these muscles to lengthen in order for plantar flexion. There is this misconception that poses like this are all to do with our bones, our skeletal structure. Now, some of that may be true, especially if you're suffering with osteoarthritis or perhaps bone spurs, but most of the time it's muscular, and there's a test you can do to find out. To test our dorsiflexion, if you come into a kneeling position like this, then take your knee as far past the ankle as you can without lifting the heel. Take a picture of where you are here. If the angle is greater than 10 or 20 degrees, you're absolutely fine. But if you're struggling to take that knee too far past the ankle, you're most likely needing some good ankle mobility exercises to improve that dorsiflexion. To test our plantar flexion, coming down into a kneeling position, toes touching and heels to bottom. Now, you should be able to sit like this comfortably for about 2 minutes. If your ankles are screaming at you, then you most likely need to work on your plantar flexion. So some of you may be thinking, so what, I can't get into a deep squat, what does that matter? If we have poor ankle mobility, that is the foundation of our body. And if our ankles are unstable, that instability then transfers up towards the knee, the hips, and even the lower back. And that can be a real problem, not just for walking and climbing stairs, but just our lifestyle in general. I'm going to show you 3 excellent exercises to improve your ankle mobility. Now, this isn't a quick fix, so it's not going to be something that you do for a couple of weeks intensely and suddenly you're going to have really great ankle mobility. This is something that is going to take time, consistency and patience. And if you consistently work with the exercises I'm going to show you for a couple of minutes a day, you will definitely see some results after a couple of months. For exercise 1, you're going to need to grab yourself a stool or a worktop that's roughly hip height. Taking your feet hip distance apart and placing the hands onto your worktop or stool, you're going to come right up onto the balls of your feet until your ankles are in line with your toes. So not only is this going to be working your ankle mobility, but you get the added bonus of working with a really good stretch on the soles and working with your toe mobility as well. And then as you ease your way down, you're going to bend both knees, keeping the heels on the floor. Take some deep breaths and we're going to repeat. This time as we repeat, we're going to breathe in for the count of 4 and out for the count of 8. Lower all the way down, take the knees past the ankles, breathe in for the count of 4. Out for the count of 8. And you can repeat that exercise until you reach your 2-minute mark. Now with this, if it starts to feel quite easy, when you take the knees past the ankles, you can encourage the knees to go even further until you're reaching an intensity of about 8 out of 10. Exercise 2, we have a variation of runner's pose. So taking hold of your stool, your stable surface, you're going to take a good step back here, so like a warrior 1 position, but the toes are going to be facing forwards on both feet. Then from here, bending your front leg, take a deep breath in as you breathe out, pushing that back heel all the way down towards the floor. Once again, you're working with an intensity of about 8 out of 10. We're going to breathe in for the count of 4. Out for the count of 8. You're going to hold that for about 1 minute and then you're going to swap sides and repeat the exercise. For our final exercise, we're going to come into Thunderbolt pose, and you will need a block for this. So placing the block down onto your mat, you're going to take your feet either side of the mat and your toes are going to be pointed, and you're going to very slowly lower your way down until you're perched on your block, keeping your back straight. And you should be feeling the stretch across the ankles. If this is just too intense, you can actually use 2 blocks to begin with and slowly make your way down to that 1 block. If you're not really feeling the stretch, by all means, remove the block and ease your way down. Now do be mindful of the knees here. If there's any real pain in the knees, do release from the posture. And working with that same principle with this exercise, we're going to hold for about 2 minutes, breathing in for the count of 4. And breathing out for the count of 8. And see if you can hold that for 2 minutes. So there you go, they are my 3 top exercises to increase your ankle mobility. See how you are in a couple of months, and it may be that you finally come into your deep squat.